Punk won EVO 2024 and still thinks someone else's character runs Season 3. This is his official Street Fighter 6 Season 3 tier list. 20 characters ranked from deadweight to untouchable meta nightmare. Punk posted his official Street Fighter 6 Season 3 tier list on June 25, 2026, racked up 480,000 views before EVO even started, and handed the #1 spot to a character he doesn't even play. Sagat. The guy has the longest pokes in the game, a standing medium punch that functions as both a pressure tool and a threat assessment, and punish damage so devastating that a single mistimed defensive response costs you more than half your health bar. His walk speed is slow, yes, technically, on paper, which would matter if opponents could ever get close enough to exploit it. They can't. Tiger Nexus pressure creates a guessing game at ranges where most characters are just waving at him from across the screen. Punk, the 2024 EVO Vegas champion and lifelong Cammy main, looked at all of that and said, yeah, that's my #1. Dual Kevin corroborated it on July 22, 2026, naming Sagat among the top 6 most likely nerf targets heading into the Season 4 patch. When pros who don't even play him agree he's broken, that's not an opinion anymore. That's a problem. S tier. Cammy has been Punk's character for his entire competitive career. Spiral arrow frame traps, drive rush that closes distance faster than most players can process, and cannon spike anti-air that punishes jump-ins so consistently it almost feels automated. She's got everything a high-tier character needs to compete at the top of any bracket, and Punk still put her below Sagat. Then, apparently, below Mai too. The thing is, this isn't a slight against Cammy. She's genuinely dangerous in the right hands, especially Punk's hands. The 2024 EVO Vegas champion knows this character at a molecular level. Drive rush into spiral arrow sequences create frame traps that even seasoned tournament players misread under pressure. But Punk looked at his own main, the character he's built his entire tournament identity around, and quietly decided she wasn't the best in the game, not even second best. That kind of honesty either means the top 2 are genuinely untouchable, or Punk is sandbagging his own character. Spoiler, it's the first one. A tier. Mai has 0 bad matchups, except Dhalsim, and even that one is rare, according to Punk, which basically means it doesn't count. She dropped in Season 2 DLC and quietly became the most complete character on the roster. Good drive rush, oppressive strike throw mix-ups, normals that stuff nearly everything, and EX fans that beat perfect parry, the one universal escape hatch the game gave everyone. Mai apparently didn't get that memo. Punk's exact words, she just got everything. He's not wrong. EVO Japan 2026 backed it up when Yamaguchi won the whole tournament on Mai. Dual Kevin corroborates her as one of the 6 most likely Season 4 nerf targets alongside Sagat, because Capcom apparently noticed too. The thing is, Punk still placed her at #2. Sagat holds the crown. But bracket data tracks Mai slightly ahead, which means this whole list might already be wrong by 1 slot. Punk said she's second best. The tournament said she's undefeated. S tier. JP makes Punk's top 6, and watching him play feels less like a fighting game and more like a hostage negotiation you didn't agree to. Here's what JP does. Departure and Amnesia give him screen control that most characters can't conceptually answer. He zones you from full screen, preserves his drive gauge while doing it, which almost nobody else manages. And the moment you overextend trying to close the gap, the punish damage is catastrophic. You took all that risk to get in, and he just bills you for the commute. And somehow he's still underrepresented at majors. A character confirmed by Dual Kevin as one of the 6 most likely Season 4 nerf targets, sitting comfortably in Punk's elite tier alongside Sagat and Mai, and tournament players are just not running him. The character who punishes overextension is being slept on at the exact level where overextension gets punished. Capcom has already quietly flagged him as a problem heading into Season 4. Apparently the players didn't get that memo either. A tier. Terry, Season 2 Edition. still making Punk's elite tier like he paid rent in advance. Rock Stinger keeps pressure honest at mid-range. Power charge extensions let him convert off situations most characters have to abandon. And then there's Buster Wolf, his level 2 super that generates comeback damage so severe it functionally rewrites what happened the last 2 rounds. You're up 1-0, feeling confident, and Terry lands Buster Wolf in the corner twice. Suddenly, you're losing a set you were winning. Are you okay? That's the Terry experience. And here's the thing, he's a Season 2 DLC character. He wasn't even built into Street Fighter VI's original competitive foundation. Yet Dual Kevin names him one of the 6 most likely Season 4 nerf targets alongside Sagat, Mai, and JP. A character Capcom added after launch is now on the nerf watch list next to the untouchable overlord of the entire roster. He somehow outpaced characters with a 2-year head start on competitive development. Apparently Capcom didn't vet the homework Terry did. B tier. Blanka has been called a gimmick character since Street Fighter II. That was approximately 34 years ago. He is currently in Punk's top 6. Blanka Chan doll setups create fake-out pressure that forces opponents to guess before a single real attack lands. Rolling attack mix-ups generate left-right reads that even seasoned tournament players misread in real time. His surprise factor operates like a tax on matchup knowledge. Pay it or lose rounds you had no business losing. Every serious player knows Blanka is coming. Then they eat the electricity pressure on their first wake-up anyway. Dual Kevin lists him alongside Sagat, Mai, JP, Terry, and Ed as a top 6 Season 4 nerf target. A character the community has called a gimmick for 3 decades is apparently dangerous enough that Capcom needs to intervene. Gimmicks don't make the nerf watch list, top-tier threats do. Blanka has been the punchline of tier list discourse since 1992 and is somehow still the problem. B tier. Ed is somehow both the simplest and most suffocating offensive character on this entire list. His drive rush offense doesn't require creativity, it requires a pulse. Elite drive rush extensions, simple combo routes that convert nearly anything into massive damage, and a neutral game built around Psycho Knuckle that keeps opponents permanently second-guessing their spacing decisions. The conversion rate on Ed confirms is genuinely obscene. He touches you once, and you're watching a third of your health bar disappear to a sequence any intermediate player can execute after a weekend of lab time. The thing is, brain dead in Street Fighter doesn't mean weak, it means efficient. Ed converts efficiently, pressures efficiently, and wastes almost 0 resources doing it. He's just free damage. Like, Ed is free. Tournament commentary basically everywhere in Season 3. Capcom apparently looked at his win rates and decided that accessible, high damage, low commitment offense is a problem worth fixing. Simplicity became a threat level. A tier. Luke has been sitting comfortably in Street Fighter VI's high tier since launch, not because he's flashy, but because flash knuckle pressure into simple, brutal damage routes just works on everyone. The numbers back it up. His CPV tournament data stays consistently high, even as DLC characters like Terry and Mai arrive demanding the spotlight. He doesn't have a gimmick. He doesn't need one. Accessible kit, reliable anti-airs, corner carry that punishes any lapse in defense. Luke just does damage. Like, you don't need to be creative. Tournament commentary, basically Season 1 through 3. While everyone panics about the newest DLC breaking the meta, Luke quietly keeps cashing checks at regionals worldwide. He's not the most exciting answer, he's the correct one. The reliable workhorse never gets nerfed first. A tier. Ken has been turning drive gauge into corner nightmares since Season 1, and Season 3 nerfs apparently didn't get the memo. His kit reads like a pressure checklist. Jinrai kick mix-ups that force genuine guessing, drive rush confirms into corner, carry that stretches half the screen, and a footsie game standing toe-to-toe with the elite. That's before mentioning his punish damage, which quietly punishes anyone sleeping on neutral. And the results back it up. Consistent top 8 CPT finishes across the season. Ken still Ken, drive rush makes everything scarier. The community spent most of Season 3 debating whether his nerfs finally buried him. Meanwhile, Ken players kept cashing out at regionals. Somehow, the corpse keeps winning. The nerf obituary got filed too early. A tier. Rashid is the kind of character who makes you feel like you're being attacked from every direction at once, except that direction also includes the sky. Eagle Spike gives him an air threat most characters simply don't have an answer for. Spinning Mixer extends pressure into genuine left-right mix-up situations that force actual guessing. His drive rush routes compound the problem. The closer you let him get, the worse your night goes. CPV data confirms the ceiling is real. Rashid players who understand his flowchart are punishing people at tournament level. Rashid just keeps coming. You block one thing, there's another. The Whirlwind label isn't marketing, it's a warning. B tier. Akuma walked into Season 2 draped in reputation. Demon King, Raging Demon, the whole mythology, and the community absolutely lost its mind when he dropped. People were calling him broken before a single ranked match was played. Then Punk looked at the actual numbers and quietly placed him below the entire top 6. Akuma's punish damage is genuinely elite, the kind that turns one red into a round. His Shakunetsu Hadoken strings build terrifying pressure on paper. But those strings bleed drive gauge at a rate that leaves him exposed mid-round, which is exactly the wrong place to be in a Season 3 meta built around gauge efficiency. And his neutral footsies trail Sagat's by a margin that actually matters at tournament level. Everyone hypes Akuma, but you get in on him and suddenly the Demon King looks kind of human. The pre-release hype painted him as unstoppable. The bracket data painted him as a high-risk, high-ceiling character who needs everything to go right. Apparently those aren't the same thing. C tier. Zangief hits like a car crash. One SPD can shave nearly 40% of a health bar in a single grab, genuinely one of the highest single hit damage outputs in the entire game. And then nobody walks into it. Season 3's drive rush offense dismantled the one thing grapplers rely on, opponent respect. When everyone can close distance instantly with a drive rush confirm, nobody needs to carefully navigate Zangief's threat range. They just dash in, start their offense, and suddenly, the world's most dangerous grab stands there doing absolutely nothing. SPD damage, terrifying. Walk speed, embarrassing. In a meta built entirely around drive rush mobility, those two facts cancel each other out completely. He went from Russian wrestling legend to expensive punching bag. C tier. Dhalsim somehow made it onto the tier list for one specific reason. He's the only character in the game with a confirmed bad matchup against Mai. The best character in Street Fighter 6, the one with 0 weaknesses. Dhalsim is the exception, and that's genuinely impressive. His stretched limbs, yoga fire zoning, and teleport resets create a geometry that Mei's EX fans and Drive Rush just can't cleanly navigate. He breaks her, but outside that one interaction, Dhalsim's tournament resume is basically empty. He obliterates anyone who doesn't know the matchup, which sounds like an advantage, except every tournament player knows the matchup. He went from being Mai's nightmare to everyone else's free win. C tier. Juri is the character who makes you feel like a genius for 10 seconds and then kills you with your own execution errors. Her Fuhajin store mechanic lets elite players build Okizeme setups and Sahasho loops that look genuinely broken. Stack that with her drive rush confirm options and her corner damage, and on paper, she's threatening. But the thing is, CPV data tells the full story. Her win rate spikes dramatically at top 200 level players and completely craters below that threshold. She's basically two different characters depending on who's holding the controller. Punk slots her mid-tier, which is somehow both generous and accurate at the same time. Generous because most players will never unlock that ceiling. Accurate because the ceiling is real. She's a Ferrari with a learner's permit required. B-tier. Ryu has been the face of Street Fighter since 1987. Nearly 4 decades of Hadoukens, Shoryukens, and the World Warrior branding plastered across every promotional image in franchise history. And somehow the most iconic fighting game character ever made is sitting comfortably in the middle of the pack in Season 3. His Hashogeki Pressure and Denjin Charge Super give him genuine tools. His fundamentals are textbook, obviously, because he literally wrote the textbook. But he lacks the drive rush abuse ceiling that separates S-tier monsters from everyone else. Apparently being the soul of martial arts doesn't pay what it used to. D tier. Chun-Li was the strongest woman in the world in Season 1. Literally, the tier list said so. Then Season 3 happened, and the drive rush damage race quietly lapped her entire game plan. Her kit still has identity. She has structure, footsies, and history stretching back to Super Street Fighter II Turbo in 1994. But history doesn't win neutral when your offense can't abuse drive rush extensions the way Ed or Terry does. She went from legitimate Season 1 contender to a character who makes you work twice as hard for half the reward. Apparently being the strongest woman in the world has a shelf life of about 12 months. Her arc is the clearest season over season fall from grace on this list. C tier. Bison was absent from Street Fighter VI at launch. Capcom made fans wait until Season 2 DLC to bring back the Dictator, and he arrived with full Psycho Power swagger, a redesigned moveset, and 30 years of reputation doing half his work for him. And then, Punk dropped him squarely in mid-tier. Bison's corner pressure is genuinely oppressive. Psycho Power charge loops, relentless Okizeme, and a presence that makes newer players panic spend their entire drive gauge in 10 seconds. But get him in neutral against Sagat's range or Mai's speed, and suddenly the Dictator looks a little mortal. His scary reputation is doing more heavy lifting than his actual toolkit. Apparently 30 years of world domination doesn't cover the range gap. C tier. Manon is the character who makes every opponent sweat for the first 30 seconds, then gets completely ignored for the rest of the round. Her medal stacking mechanic is genuinely clever. Each successful throw levels up her grab damage until she's landing throws that cost real health. 5 medals deep, and she's terrifying. But any opponent with 5 minutes of matchup research just stops getting grabbed, waits for the reset, and plays neutral while her entire game plan evaporates. The mechanic that makes her fun is also her ceiling. D tier. E Honda has 100 hand slap, headbutt, and 30 years of iconic sumo presence. He also has exactly 0 drive rush, a charge-based pressure game that requires opponents to walk into him, and a Season 3 meta that decided mobility was the entire point. The thing is, every tool Honda has works beautifully in a world where the opponent cooperates. But drive rush offense means nobody's standing still long enough to get slapped. CPV tournament data shows him among the rarest characters in top 8 finishes across the entire CPT season. Punk didn't need to overthink this one. When the meta rewards mobility above everything, a stationary sumo wrestler who relies on charge inputs is basically a speed bump with a top knot. D tier. And then there's Marisa. Her damage numbers in casual lobbies make grown men alt. F4. She looks, on paper, like a character who should terrify tournament brackets. But here's the thing, Marisa is enormous, and somehow Capcom looked at this 6-foot gladiator built like a Roman Colosseum and gave her walk speed comparable to a man carrying that Colosseum. Her normals don't reach far enough to justify the hitbox she's defending against. Without drive rush extensions, her offensive pressure just stops. A prepared opponent reads the flowchart, sits back, and punishes every approach she has. She's the clearest example of a character who feels oppressive when your opponent doesn't know the matchup and completely evaporates the moment someone does their homework. CPT top 8 appearances? Apparently optional for Marisa. She goes from casual lobby monster to tournament ghost with no stops in between. D tier. Subscribe to the channel for more tier lists like this. We're done here.